Kale had always loved the night. On the planet Leora, nights were different from those on Earth. 2 pale moons hung low in the sky, casting soft silver light over the forests that glowed faintly in shades of green and blue. The air carried a subtle hum as if the planet itself was alive. Kale loved that hum. He loved the quiet, the stillness, and the way the world seemed to pause under the twin moons. He often wandered alone in the bioluminescent woods near his home, a small colony perched on the edge of the forest of light. His friends would call him strange, but Kale didn't mind. He preferred the stars. They felt like old friends, whispering secrets he had yet to understand. That night, Kale left his quarters later than usual. The twin moons were high, one silver and the other faintly golden, reflecting off the lakes and illuminating the glowing flora. His boots made soft crunching sounds on the pale soil, but Kale barely noticed. He was focused on the sky above, tracing constellations that didn't exist on any map, naming them after things that only made sense to him. Kale. The whisper was so soft, so delicate, that at first he thought it was the wind rustling through the glowing trees, but the sound came again, clearer this time. Kale. He froze, the voice. It was familiar. Not like someone he knew, but like something he had always known. His heart thumped in his chest. Slowly he turned, scanning the woods. Nothing. Kyle. This time the voice seemed to float through the air, wrapping around him, pulling him forward. It was melodic, gentle, almost like music carried on the night breeze. Kale's curiosity overcame his fear. He stepped deeper into the forest, following the sound. The trees around him glowed brighter as he moved, illuminating a narrow path that seemed to have appeared just for him. Strange flowers opened as he passed, revealing tiny lights that blinked like stars. Kale felt a pull he could not explain, an invisible thread guiding him forward. Then he saw her. She was standing on the edge of the lake, illuminated by the reflection of the moons. She seemed to glow with her own light, her hair flowing like silver threads in the gentle breeze. She was human-like, but there was something different about her. Something ethereal. Who are you? Kyle asked, his voice trembling. She smiled softly but did not speak aloud. Instead, the same gentle whisper filled his mind like a warm breeze brushing past his thoughts. Don't be afraid. Kale's breath caught. It was her voice, but not in the normal way. It spoke directly to him inside his mind, yet with all the warmth of a spoken word. I don't understand, he whispered. You will. Follow me. The girl stepped closer, her feet barely touching the glowing ground. Her eyes were bright and deep, reflecting both moons above. Kale felt his heartbeat quicken. There was something in her gaze, something powerful yet comforting, like looking at a sunrise for the first time. Why me? He asked, though he wasn't sure if he expected an answer. Because you can hear me. Others cannot. Kyle took a cautious step forward. The air felt electric, alive. A small crystal hovered near the girl, floating silently above the water. Its surface shimmered and shifted with colors he had never seen before. The crystal pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. Kale reached out slowly, and the moment his fingers brushed the crystal, a warmth spread through him, like sunlight filling a cold room. His mind was filled with flashes of strange symbols, alien landscapes, and the soft, echoing hum of a world far beyond his own. The girl motioned toward the forest. Come. Kale hesitated. Something inside him screamed to run, but the pull was too strong. He followed her. The forest seemed to change as they moved. The glowing plants responded to her presence, bending slightly, creating a path lined with light. It was as if the forest itself was alive, aware of her. Kale felt a mixture of awe and fear. Where are we going? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. Somewhere safe, for now. The girl's whisper carried a strange urgency. Kale noticed that the air felt heavier here, thicker, as if energy itself was alive. Strange shadows moved between the glowing trees, but they were not threatening. The girl's presence seemed to protect them. After walking for what felt like hours, they reached a clearing. Strange ruins dotted the ground, glowing faintly in the moonlight. The structures were ancient, made of materials Kale could not identify, etched with symbols that shimmered and shifted as if alive. This is where it begins, the girl whispered. Kyle looked at her, confusion and awe battling in his mind. Begins what? Your path, your purpose. There is danger coming and only you can help. Kale felt a shiver run down his spine. His mind raced. Danger, purpose? This was not like any adventure he had imagined. He was just a boy who loved stars, A boy who dreamed of building engines and exploring space. Not a boy chosen to face whatever this was. Then she held out her hand. The crystal floated into his palm, pulsing gently. Its warmth spread through him again, steadying his racing thoughts. "Trust me," she whispered. Cale looked into her eyes, and without fully understanding why, he nodded. He trusted her. Suddenly, the ruins began to hum. A low vibration filled the air, and the ground beneath them trembled slightly. Cale stumbled, clutching the crystal, but the girl's presence steadied him. "Time is short," she whispered urgently. "Follow me, Cale." They moved quickly through the ruins, weaving between strange pillars and glowing glyphs. Cale could feel an energy building around them, like the planet itself was alive and watching. Every step made the crystal pulse faster, in sync with his heartbeat. Finally, they reached a small hill overlooking the forest and the lake. The girl stopped and turned to him. "You must understand," she whispered. "The world, as you know it, is not safe. Forces beyond your understanding seek the energy of this planet. Only you with the crystal can prevent what comes next." Cale's mind was spinning. "Me? Why me? I don't even know how to use this. You will learn. I will guide you. But first, you must hear me clearly." The girl leaned closer. Her voice, now a gentle whisper, filled his mind completely. Cale felt it not just in his ears, but in his chest, his heart, and even his very soul. It was intimate and powerful, overwhelming in a way he had never experienced. Cale's breath caught. Every worry, every fear seemed to melt away in the warmth of her presence. For a moment he was lost, not in thought, but in feeling, in the quiet power of the girl's whisper. And then the wind shifted, carrying a faint, dangerous hum from the forest behind them. Cale turned just in time to see shadows moving toward them, shapes that were fast, purposeful, and threatening. The girl's expression hardened, no longer gentle but determined. "Cale, now you must move. Follow me. Do not hesitate." Cale felt a surge of courage, stronger than any fear he had known. He nodded and ran, matching her pace, the crystal pulsing like a heartbeat in his hand. Behind them, the shadows moved faster, but Cale no longer felt afraid. He was part of something greater, something beyond himself, and he trusted the girl completely. That night, under the twin moons, Kyle realized that his life had changed forever. A whisper had called him. A girl had appeared, and the world he thought he knew was no longer enough. Whatever awaited him, he was ready to follow. And in that moment, Cale's breath truly was stolen, not by fear, but by the girl's whisper, soft, melodic, and filled with a strange, powerful promise. The forest behind Cale and Lyra was alive with shadows, dark and shifting, but he no longer felt the fear that had gripped him before. The crystal in his hand pulsed gently in rhythm with his heartbeat as if it were alive. Lyra moved with ease through the glowing forest, her presence illuminating the path ahead, guiding Cale safely between glowing roots and alien plants. You're not from here, are you?" Cale asked, finally finding the courage to speak aloud. Lyra's eyes met his, bright under the twin moons, and for a moment she seemed hesitant, as if weighing her words. Then softly she whispered directly into his mind, "I am not entirely human, Kyle. I am part of something greater, something older than your world." Cale's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. "Older than my world? What do you mean?" "I am Aeon, a guardian of life across many planets. I have watched your world for centuries, waiting for someone who could hear me, someone who could help." Cale's pulse quickened. Guardians? Centuries? This was more than he had ever imagined in his wildest dreams. "And you chose me?" he asked quietly. "Not I. Fate. The crystal chose you. Only a human with your sensitivity can interface with it. Others cannot hear me. Others cannot feel what you feel." Cale stared at the crystal, its light dancing across his face. It felt warm, alive, and familiar in a way he could not explain. He held it tighter, trying to absorb the strange energy it emitted. They continued walking, the shadows behind them growing closer, but Lyra did not seem worried. The forest responded to her, glowing brighter, creating walls of light to block the advancing darkness. Strange shapes moved through the air, but they recoiled from Lyra, leaving her path clear. As they reached a small clearing, the forest opened to reveal something extraordinary. Ancient ruins, overgrown with luminous vines, rose from the ground like forgotten monuments. The stone structures pulsed faintly with energy, and symbols glimmered across their surfaces, shifting as Kale's eyes tried to focus. "This is where I can explain," Lyra whispered. Kale stepped closer, awed by the beauty and strangeness of the ruins. "Explain. What?" "Your planet contains energy far older than humans. It is powerful, unstable, and if misused, it can destroy life across the world. Rogue forces have discovered it, and they will stop at nothing to control it." Kale's stomach twisted. "Rogue forces? Who are they?" "Humans. Scientists who have lost their morality, seeking power for themselves. They do not care about life, only control, and they are coming." The forest hummed beneath their feet as Lyra moved closer to a stone arch pointing at the glowing symbols. "This crystal connects you to the energy. You can stabilize it, but only if you trust me and yourself." Kale swallowed hard. He was just a boy, not a hero, not a soldier, not a guardian. I don't know if I can," he whispered. "You can," she replied softly, her voice like a warm wind brushing through his thoughts. "I will guide you. But first, you must feel the connection." She stepped closer, her glowing presence filling the clearing. Kale could feel the whisper of her thoughts, gentle but powerful, threading through his mind. Every fear, every doubt, every hope he had carried alone for years was now exposed, yet he felt no shame. It was as if she understood him completely, and he was no longer alone. Lyra extended her hand, and the crystal floated from Kale's palm into hers, pulsing with brighter light. Symbols on the stone wall shimmered, responding to the energy between them. She guided Kale's hand back toward the crystal. "Place your hand on it. Let your mind open." Kale hesitated, but the trust he felt for her was stronger than his fear. He placed his hand on the crystal again. Warmth spread through his body, and his vision filled with images. The planet's energy core, the forests, the lakes, and the humans moving through their cities, oblivious to the danger. He could feel the life of the planet, hear it as a subtle hum, sense the pulse of every living thing. "It's amazing," Kale whispered, his voice trembling. "I can feel it all." "Yes. And now you understand why you were chosen." Suddenly, the air shifted. From the forest, dark shapes emerged, fast and purposeful. The rogue scientists had tracked them, using strange hovering machines that glowed red in the moonlight. Kale's heart leapt into his throat. "They're here," he whispered. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Stay calm. Trust the whisper. Trust the energy." The shadows moved closer, but the glowing vines of the forest reacted instantly, creating barriers that twisted and shifted, confusing their pursuers. Lyra moved gracefully, almost dancing, and the crystal's light pulsed in response, enhancing the defenses. Kyle followed her, running through the ruins as the alien energy reshaped the world around them, protecting them from the machines. "You see now," Lyra whispered. "You are not alone, Kale. The world is bigger than you think, and so are you." Kale's mind raced, but a strange clarity filled him. The energy of the planet was inside him, flowing through his veins like liquid light. The whisper connected him to Lyra, to the crystal, and to the life around him. He could feel the emotions of the forest, the pulse of the lakes, and even the subtle fear of the intruders. They reached a hidden underground chamber beneath the ruins. Lyra pushed a panel revealing a smooth, glowing floor etched with symbols. "Here we can plan, and here you can learn to control the crystal." Kyle knelt beside the glowing floor, his hands hovering over its surface. The energy of the planet seemed to respond to him, wrapping around him, teaching him without words. Lyra guided him, whispering instructions, guiding his thoughts and helping him connect fully with the crystal. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time seemed meaningless in this strange, glowing world. Kale's confidence grew with every pulse of energy. He could sense danger, predict movements, and even manipulate small flows of energy, bending the light and sound around them. "Kale," Lyra whispered suddenly, her voice softer now, filled with warmth. "Do you feel it?" Kale looked at her, his heart racing, not just from excitement but from something deeper. He could feel her thoughts, her emotions, her presence, as if it were a part of his own body. I do," he whispered. "I can feel you, everything." "Good." Her voice carried an intimacy that made his chest tighten. "That bond is our strength. But remember, danger will not wait. They are learning. They will return." Kale's mind sharpened. He was no longer just a boy fascinated by stars. He was part of something larger, something alive, and he knew that he could not turn back now. Then, a sudden vibration shook the chamber. Red lights from above pierced through the cracks, signaling the rogue scientist's return. Cale's pulse quickened, but he did not panic. He reached out, channeling the crystal's energy, and a protective barrier rose, shimmering like a dome of light. The machines tried to break through, but the energy responded to Cale's thoughts, bending and shifting to block them. Lyra moved beside him, guiding his focus, whispering encouragement, and together they created a force field strong enough to hold the intruders at bay. Cale felt a surge of power, of understanding, and for the first time, he realized the truth of what Lyra had said. He was capable of more than he had ever imagined. The crystal was not just a tool, it was a key, and he held it. As the red lights faded and the intruders retreated, Cale and Lyra collapsed onto the glowing floor, exhausted but triumphant. Kyle held the crystal close, feeling its warmth against his chest. You saved us," Cale whispered, finally allowing himself to relax. Lyra smiled, her glow softening. "We saved each other." Cale looked at her, his breath catching. There was something in her eyes, something more than gratitude, something deep, intimate, and unspoken. The whisper that had called him to her was still there, wrapping around his mind, touching his heart, leaving him breathless. That night, under the twin moons and the glow of the alien forest, Cale realized that his life had changed forever. He had stepped into a world of danger, wonder, and connection, and there was no turning back. And as he drifted into a restless sleep beside Lyra, he knew that the whispers of the girl had not only guided him, they had stolen his breath and awakened something inside him that he could never forget. Cale awoke to a glow that was brighter than any moonlight he had ever seen. He was not in the forest anymore. The chamber beneath the ruins had dissolved into a luminous expanse that stretched endlessly, a world that seemed to float in space itself. Islands of glowing crystal hovered in midair, connected by rivers of pure light. Strange creatures drifted gracefully, reacting to the energy around them. Time felt fluid, and even the air pulsed with life. Lyra was beside him, her silver hair flowing in a breeze that did not exist. She smiled, but there was urgency in her eyes. "This is the portal world," she whispered in his mind. "It exists between dimensions. Here energy can be shaped, controlled, and sometimes destroyed." Cale's heart raced. He could feel the energy of the planet flowing stronger here, amplified by the strange laws of this world. His connection to the crystal had grown. He could hear whispers of life from the islands, sense their rhythms, and feel the faint echoes of the rogue scientists somewhere behind them. "They followed us here," Kyle said quietly. "Yes," Lyra whispered. "They do not understand what they face, but they are learning fast. You must trust the connection." "Trust yourself," Cale nodded, gripping the crystal tightly. He felt a surge of power flowing through his veins, a fusion of the planet's energy and Lyra's whisper, a connection that made him more than human, more than himself. The portal world responded to him, bending light and sound around him like an extension of his will. Suddenly, the rogue scientists appeared. Their machines hovered above the floating islands, glowing red against the blue and green light of the dimension. They aimed strange weapons at Cale and Lyra, devices designed to drain energy from the crystal. Cale's pulse quickened. "We have to stop them," he whispered. Lyra stepped closer, her presence steadying him. "Remember the bond." "Let the whisper guide you," Cale focused. He reached out with his mind, feeling the pulse of the energy around him. The floating islands responded, tilting, spinning, and forming barriers between them and the intruders. Streams of light flowed from the crystal in his hand, weaving around the machines and disrupting their energy. "You are stronger than you know," Lyra whispered, her voice threading through his thoughts. "Let the energy flow. Let it become part of you." Cale closed his eyes and let himself feel everything. The hum of the portal world, Lyra's presence, the crystal's warmth, and the pulse of life from his home planet. He became a conduit, a bridge between dimensions, guiding the energy with his thoughts. The rogue scientists fired, but their weapons fizzled and broke against the shifting walls of light Cale had formed. The energy of the portal responded to his emotions. Fear made it quiver, anger sharpened it, and courage strengthened it. Cale felt a new clarity. He was not just defending himself. He was commanding the power of an entire world. Lyra guided him further, whispering instructions, teaching him to shape the energy into shields, barriers, and traps. Together they moved with synchronicity, their minds intertwined through the whispers. Kale felt her emotions as if they were his own, and her thoughts shaped his actions with precision. The rogue scientists tried to advance, but Kale's control over the energy had grown too strong. He raised the crystal, and a wave of light swept across the portal world, disarming the machines and sending the intruders tumbling back. The portal dimension seemed to hum with approval, glowing brighter with each pulse of energy. Kale's chest was pounding. He realized something incredible. He could manipulate the world here with his emotions. Hope created bridges, determination formed shields, and fear faded into shadows. Lyra's whispers anchored him, giving him strength, guidance, and courage. "Now, Kale," Lyra whispered urgently, "we must stabilize the planet's energy core. It is at risk of collapse. Only together can we do it." Kale nodded. The crystal pulsed like a heartbeat, and he extended his hands toward the energy streams flowing through the floating islands. Light twisted and bent, following his will as he synchronized his pulse with the crystal. Lyra's whispers guided him, calming his mind, helping him focus. They approached the core, a swirling vortex of raw energy suspended in midair. It flickered dangerously, unstable and chaotic. Kale could feel the life of the planet hanging in balance. The rogue scientists' interference had destabilized it further. "Trust the whisper," Lyra said. "Do not fight it. Flow with it." Kale closed his eyes. He felt every beat of the planet, every pulse of energy, every flicker of life. He let the energy flow through him, shaping it with his mind, guided by Lyra's whispers. The vortex began to stabilize, the wild chaos calming into a steady rhythm. The rogue scientists attempted one last attack, but Kale raised the crystal. A wave of light erupted from it, knocking the machines away and creating a barrier that sealed the core in safety. Kale's heart pounded, his entire being humming with energy. The portal world responded to his courage, glowing brighter than ever before. When Kyle opened his eyes, the rogue scientists were gone. Their machines lay broken, harmless. The energy core hovered peacefully, stable and radiant. Kale felt exhausted, but a sense of triumph filled him. Lyra approached him, her glow softening, her silver hair flowing around her like a gentle wave. She whispered directly into his mind, and this time, the words were more than instructions. They were personal, intimate, and filled with a warmth that made Kale's chest tighten. "You did it, Kale. You saved your world. And more, you saved yourself." Kale felt his breath catch. He realized she was not just a guide or a guardian. She had touched him in a way that was beyond explanation. The connection they shared through the whispers and the crystal had become something deep, something that made his heart race and left him speechless. I couldn't have done it without you," he whispered aloud, though her voice had already reached him without words. "No," she replied softly. "We did it together." For a moment there was silence. Only the hum of the portal world and the soft pulse of the crystal remained. Kale felt his heart slowing, the rush of energy settling into a calm rhythm. He looked around. The floating islands shimmered, the energy streams pulsed gently, and the portal dimension seemed at peace. Kyle realized that he had changed. He was no longer just a boy fascinated by stars. He was a bridge between worlds, a human capable of connecting with forces far greater than himself. And he had discovered something else too, the power of connection, trust, and understanding. Lyra smiled at him, a warmth in her eyes that made his chest tighten. Her whisper reached him again, gentle and melodic. "You have your breath now, Kale. But you will never forget the night it was stolen." Kale felt the truth of her words. His life had been transformed in a single night. He had faced danger, embraced power, and discovered a bond that defied explanation. He had learned that courage, trust, and connection could achieve what alone seemed impossible. As the portal dimension began to fade, returning them to their own world, Kyle felt the crystal's warmth settle into his hand. The forests of Leora reappeared beneath the twin moons, glowing softly as if welcoming him home. The alien ruins stood silent, serene, and undisturbed. Kale turned to Lyra, but she was already fading, her glow dimming as she returned to her own existence. "I will always be with you," she whispered, a final echo in his mind. Kyle's heart ached, but he understood. The bond they shared through whispers and energy could never be broken. He looked at the crystal in his hand and felt its steady pulse, a reminder of the night, the adventure, and the girl who had stolen his breath. That night, under the twin moons of Leora, Cale walked back to the colony, his mind alive with wonder, courage, and the memory of a whisper that had changed everything. He knew that his life would never be the same. He had glimpsed a world beyond understanding, fought danger beyond imagining, and discovered a connection that was more powerful than fear, more enduring than time, and more profound than words. And as he looked at the stars, Cale smiled. Somewhere out there, Lyra's whisper waited for him, soft, melodic, and filled with a promise that one day they would meet again. For now, he was ready for the challenges ahead, for the mysteries of the universe, and for the quiet, powerful knowledge that a single whisper could change a life forever.